and I'll put some butter in it for you. So I'll just,
I'm sorry.
you want it? Get ahead.
Thank you. And there's knives and
Spare grass. Okay.
the silver. We're setting it outside so that you guys don't have to. Can you make that step over here? Well, I know how that is. I know him.
So Andy, you still working on stuff?
Oh yeah, still working on stuff.
Not laid off yet, huh?
No.
Cool. Is your job going to hang in there? Or?
Yeah, we're actually growing, Jim.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
We hired her.
Oh, is that? Yeah, Janis was telling me that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's taking care of our the owner and the president of our company. As the
Awesome.
executive assistant.
Executive assistant. Wow, that's good stuff.
Great job.
Should be a lot of fun.
She used to reserve hangars for people's airplanes. It's kind of cool.
Oh, for all the corporate Learjets and stuff cruising around.
Yeah, well, yeah. The owner had a private airplane that he bought a couple months ago. Had a parking garage for it in Omaha.
Awesome.
Yo,
Where are the nuts?
Philly's got them all out there.
We ran out. Here.
This one, yep.
She got you out here.
She got you.
With a finger?
She drug you out of the snow country for this?
Yeah, we came out of snow country.
But anyway,
Snowbirds.
since she's become my wife and her background and legacy embraced Mary Ellen, you know, over the years.
Yeah.
And then here I am. I chose to finish the rest of my time with her.
Yeah, that's cool.
And my picture sits on the mantle.
Yeah.
Mary Ellen's on the right, and she's on the left.
That's the way it was at the start.
Well, it just depends if you're which way you're looking at it.
Well,
Sometimes she's on the right, sometimes the other one's on the left. You know, they just.
If he gets in the doghouse, you just move the pictures around.
Yeah.
If Mary Ellen was here, I'd be kicked out in a hurry. But I would be glad to leave to have Mary Ellen back.
Yeah.
Because she truly was my sister.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
the way the world turns.
But we welcome you.
Yeah.
That deal
I
is,
mean,
and
that's
so
precious.
here's my
And you knew,
girl.
Well, see,
you knew Dad. And
I feel related
Dad?
to the McCubbins.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
She
got
lets me
Wasn't
carry
Mary
that picture.
beautiful?
Let's see.
I know
Here,
she
come
was.
up here so I can
it
look at him,
wasn't
Janis. Just
only
hold him
that
up in front of
her
the camera.
Facial features were beautiful.
She was beautiful.
Janis, bring her
She was
closer
a
to the.
beautiful person inside.
Yeah,
now,
there you go.
I am not that pretty inside.
I bet you're just
No,
as pretty on
no.
the inside as you are the
No,
outside.
I'm very outspoken. I believe the cards ought to be on the table. If I think you're
That's
doing
all
wrong,
right. I got
I'll
it.
tell you so. And Mary never did that.
Uh-huh.
And here-
Never did.
And here's the guy that she's going with, right here.
Uh-huh.
It's a fossil.
The fossil. Funny.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
I'll hide this one.
Oh, I'm glad I took that lemonade. It's
So now you guys you're living in that big old house on Prescott.
Yeah.
You don't have that house in KC anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I give it to my grandson.
Oh, did you? Uh-huh.
That's just me. Come on, take your glasses off.
You look like her.
Look like Mary Ellen. That'd be nice.
She looks more McCubbin. She looks more McCubbinish
You
than
look like
than
your dad, though.
Grandpa.
Yeah.
Look like
Yeah.
Grandpa.
Grandpa, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, Andy does.
That's amazing.
Yep.
I didn't think I remembered what Chester looked like until I saw him.
Uh-huh.
I always thought he did too. And
Yeah.
he's sweet like Grandpa.
There's the squinty McCubbin eye, I think, is part of it. One eye is a little more squinty than the
So
other.
this
Yeah, that's
You got that, and I've got it a little bit too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely
Yeah.
look like Chester.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I
look
thought
like
Mary
someone-
Ellen and Chester looked a lot
Oh
alike.
yeah, they look like twins.
Yeah.
Don't they look alike,
Yeah.
Mary Ellen and Chester?
Yeah.
Now, one thing
That pretty
I
nose, they
didn't
have
get
that
to
pretty
see, I didn't see Chester much after he was grown.
Uh-huh.
I saw Chester in high school days.
Yeah.
But then the war came along, and we were all separated.
Yeah.
So I don't really, that's why I said I didn't think I remembered what Chester Chester looked like until I saw him.
Uh-huh.
But the night that he came back for the school reunion, he was as glad to see me, or he appeared to be, as I was.
He might have gone
see
back to
him.
marry you, Marguerite.
Oh no, he was married and had children out here.
Oh, I know, but he probably went back to looking down in the Ozarks.
No,
Everybody looking up some old girlfriends.
no, I wasn't ever.
He loved Mom. He loved Mom, but
Sure he did.
I told him, I said, Dad, I said, now if you wouldn't have married Mom, I said, what were you going to do? He said, I was going to go back down the Ozarks and buy a pig farm and get a new truck and have a pig farm down
Well,
there.
see, Chester and I were friends because Chester and Raymond were such good bosom buddies. And Raymond was so delighted to find out that Chester lived here and came down here once.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond's the one up in Concord?
No, he lives in Sacramento. He
Oh,
lived in Sacramento.
Oh, yeah, I remember Dad saying his friend from grade school lived in Sacramento.
Yeah.
Yeah.
High school. They were.
High school.
There was several of them that were bosom buddies, and there was one, Clint Mayberry, and all those guys grieved when he was killed because they. But this was back in the Depression, and there wasn't much money, and these kids. They used to go trick or treating together.
I'll have some a little later, thank you.
Wow.
And there
Kinda
was,
caught up.
this is a dirty thing, but the principal of the school was a jerk. I mean, he was an absolute jerk. And so the guys filled up a sack of human whatever, and put it on his porch and set it on fire, and Chester was in on that.
Yeah, my dad would do that.
I think that sounds like something he would do.
The fire out.
Yep, yep.
That sounds like something my dad would do. He was ornery like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but we had a teacher in school. His name was John Owen, and he was the sweetest, nicest guy, and everybody liked him, and he was good to all of the kids. And you know what it is to tic-tac a house?
No. Is that like toilet paper in it?
No,
No?
they take a string and a tin can, and what do they do?
Well, they put a hole in the can and they put the string and they string it out tight, and then they run this string through the hole in this can with some rosin or something powder on it. And you can, if the guy knows what he's doing, he make the weirdest sounds in town, like a 14.
In your house.
Yeah, in your
Oh,
house.
I see.
And then if you hook it up to your house and your window, and all that vibration and everything will go right back into the house where the string's tied.
Oh, No
And
kidding.
I mean, it'll put the guy's, make his eyebrows.
I never heard that before.
But anyway, these guys went out and tic-tacked John Owen's house.
The principal?
And all of it, he was just a teacher.
Oh.
Condren was the principal that most of them hated. But anyway, they all of a sudden they realized there was one extra out there. It was John Owen. He was out there. He slipped out and got in the group. He was helping them tic-tac his own house. So then they all went down. They went down to Condren's. John said, let's go down and do Condren. So they went down tic-tac Condren's house, and Condren came out screaming and yelling and throwing things, and they started running. Chester fell, and John grabbed one hand and Raymond grabbed the other and drugged Chester out.
You remember that?
Oh, well, sure. It was, it was
All
a
those
talk.
kind of addicts spread through the grapevine.
Who's ahead this week, huh?
It was the talk of the boys, and I was one of the boys' sisters. Off to me forever after that, because it never made a hitch in our friendship.
You guys were just like that.
She was never jealous. It didn't bother her that I won. She said, I voted for you, and I said, that's strange, I voted for you.
That's all.
But
Well,
she
so you
didn't-
married the two beauty queens from high school.
Got them both.
Got them both.
Hey, I got a harem.
You were.
But Mary and I were.
You got them both.
We decided that
Boy.
we would marry so we could be sisters the rest of our lives. And she had a crush on Kurt. And I said, okay, you marry Kurt and I'll marry Vin. But that was Kurt's older brother. but he wouldn't see me for smoke. So that left me out. Then I tried to marry Bob. Well, Bob wouldn't date me either. So I flirted with him, but it got no place. So we had to give up. But the war came along and we were separated.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't see Mary, didn't know where she was. I didn't even know she'd married Kurt until the war was over. And I was doing home demonstration stuff, selling, what was I selling?
Some kind of art.
No, not then. I was selling something else. Oh, better brush, I guess. I don't know. Oh, no, jewelry, I think. Jewelry or something. Anyway, I met this girl who knew where Mary Ellen was. And I said, oh, take me there, take me there. And it was night, and we went over. Kurt and Mary was living in a basement house. They'd built the basement and was living in that until they built the house. And Kurt had come home from work, and Kurt and Mary was on the bed playing with Leighton. And Leighton was 9 months old.
Oh.
And I walked in, and of course, and Kurt said, well, here's Marguerite. And I was so excited and glad to find those kids.
Oh, God.
Wow, yeah.
So,
That's pretty neat.
I love
That's neat. Yeah.
And I tell you, one time the Spirit of the Lord told me that He wanted me to go to the high school reunion. Well, I never went back to the high school reunions.
Uh-huh.
But this one time, and He said, and Mary will go with you.
Oh.
So I called Mary Ellen up, and I said, Mary, when is the high school reunion? She said, don't tell me you're going, because she'd keep saying, go, go, and I didn't like to go back.
Yeah.
So anyway, I said, well, yes, the Lord says I have to. There's somebody He wants me to minister to, and He said, you'll go with me. And she said, I will. And I said, and He told me that Ina May and Ruth Boyles was going to be there, and that Bill Kugler and Vivian will come in from California. And she said, oh, that's pretty far-fetched. But anyway, we got down there, and sure enough, we was in a little cheese store, and who was there but Ina May and Ruth Boyles. We just got back to the...
You got a word of prophecy, didn't you?
Got back to the auditorium, and here was Bill and Vivian Kugler came walking in, and she kept looking at me like that. But anyway, wow. I went in and I sat down, and I thought, who am I supposed to minister to? And I just watched the people come in, because they'd all grown up, and I hardly knew most of them, you know. I knew names, but I didn't know faces. But this one girl came in. She had on a pair of blue slacks and a printed blouse, and she was carrying a bowl of that bean dish where you put the
sour cream and guacamole.
Yeah, stuff like that.
The Mexican.
No, wait a minute. It was the fried onion rings that went around.
The green beans.
Yeah. Okay. She was carrying that, and it was like she was just baked on my eyeballs.
Ooh.
And I didn't like the girl in high school. Well, you know, Mary and I were the have-nots, and she was one of the haves. And that, in a little country school, that's such a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, but I couldn't figure out, I didn't know who I was supposed to minister to or what I was supposed to do. But there was kind of a group of us standing around, and this Mary Bush was in the bunch. And everybody just kind of idled away, and Mary and I were left standing there. And she said, Marguerite, did you know that Dick died? And that was her husband. I said, no, Mary, I did not know that. I'm sorry. I said, I know the walk you're walking. My husband died 2 years ago. And without her realizing what she was saying, she said, by the Spirit, I'm sure, well, then you're the one I'm supposed to talk to.
She was going to minister to you.
No, she wasn't. But she just said that without realizing what it was saying to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to minister to her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't like her.
Yeah.
So I just kind of walked away from her.
Yeah.
And but she told me, she said, I can't drive. And she was way out in the boonies. And I said, well, somebody down there will teach you to drive, Mary. And she said, well, I hope so, because I have a good car, but I can't go anywhere because I can't drive.
Yeah.
So I walked away, and I didn't feel really good about it, but I walked away anyway. So when I got home, the Lord began to nag me. Have you ever been nagged by the Lord?
Oh, yeah.
It's worse than any human can do.
Oh, yeah.
And he began to nag me to call Mary to see if she had learned to drive.
Oh.
And I said, oh yeah, I'm sure she has. Somebody down there's taught her. Call Mary and see if she's learned to drive. Well, it went on for about 3 weeks. Call Mary and see if she's learned to drive. So finally one day in desperation I called Mary to see if she'd learned to drive. And to my surprise she had not. People were busy in the harvest, and this was in July, and the school reunion had been in June, you know, that much time. So I said, okay, then I have to come and teach you to drive. And that's when I knew who I was to minister to. So now my husband was dead, so I was working. I'd gone from home 9.5 hours a day and 2 acres to care for, and I really wasn't too happy to drive all the way down there to minister to
It's
her.
120 miles.
Huh?
120 miles.
Okay,
Wow.
but the Lord said do it, so I said okay. So I said, now you get ready to put your bottom in that seat because we're going to drive day and night. No, I said we're going to drive all day. And on the way down there, the Lord kept trying to get through to me that something I needed to know. And finally I said, well, Father, I know you're trying to tell me something. What is it I'm supposed to teach Mary that I don't know? Guess what he said? Night driving. I was so surprised, but night driving is different than day driving.
Uh-huh.
So I went down there and we drove. He said, I'll make a short. I said, whining. I said, you know, Lord, I got so much to do. And,
Yeah.
and how many times do you think I'll have to come down here?
Yeah.
Whine, 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 whine. And the Lord said, I'll make a short work of it. So I got her in the car that day, and we drove, and we drove, and we drove, and we drove. And we put up hay bales and practiced backing and all of that sort of stuff. And so I said, now, Mary, if your faith is big enough, you can pass your test. Well, she called, and we went over to Imogene's, that's a friend, that night, and she drove home, and she said, you know, I'm so glad we've done this, because night is so different than day. And she said, I never noticed it when Dick was alive, but I'd be scared to death out here by myself the first time.
Yeah.
So I said, thank you, Lord, you know right, you're always right. So anyway, she went in and took her written test, and she passed that. But she asked Imogene to come over and ride with her, and she called me and she said, oh, Marguerite, she said, Imogene came over and got in the car with me, and she said, I couldn't even get out of my driveway. I backed into the ditch 3 times, and she said, when you were in the seat beside me, I could do anything. She said, why? What's the difference? I said, it's anointing. The Lord had anointed my teaching you to drive. So she said, would you come back? And I said, yes, I will. So I went back down there one more time, and that time we went into Sedalia, and we drove around there and practiced backing and everything. And she went back and passed her test with flying colors. 2 weekends I went down. The Lord said he'd make a fast work of it.
Something.
That is
I
amazing.
had old
Isn't that a
Bob,
beautiful story?
Yeah, it is. He's
your
used
uncle
me
Bob.
like that
Yeah.
in several things.
When he got married, that was when he got married.
But when he got married to a dare,
Yeah, my dad married him down at Sedalia at Milo's place.
Your dad married him.
And anyway, we went down and got that truck. And of course, I rode down in my car, and I said, Bob, I said, when you going to learn to drive? You going to want to get this thing out here and drive it home? He said, I guess so. And I said, well, let's go.
He's like 30 or 40 years old,
I was
right?
there at the dealership, and I took him out in the country. Just them long, straight country roads.
Oh, yeah.
And I got him out there, and I said, I'm going to give you the hardest part of driving first. He says, what's that? I said, I want you to put it in reverse. I want to break your neck. And he looked at me, and I give him the gear shifts and changes there. It was a straight stick, you know. And finally he got that. He says, this is that, this is that. And I said, yeah. I said, you got to have your foot on the clutch when you do that, you know. You can't do it. You got to do it the right time. And I said, put her in reverse. It was already running. And I said, this road's straight. And I said, you see that gate way back down the road there? I said, you just keep her going until you get there. Then you can go forward. And it took him about 5 minutes to get there.
Yeah.
And he got there, and I said, Art, you know what to do to put it in forward. And I had him going up and down that road backwards and just up like that for a good hour. And I said, you think you can get it home? He said, well, I said, I ought to. And I said, well,
I could hear him say that.
Yeah.
I could hear Uncle Bob say that.
When we go back to the dealership, I said, I'm getting in my car. And I said, you can follow me, you know, and, you know, kind of stay with me.
Yeah.
And so we got there, you know, and he was a little bit nervous. And I said, well, are we ready? He said, yeah. And we had to drive about 3 blocks to get out on 24 highway. I believe it was 24. Maybe it was 40, I don't know. But anyway, when he got in, he said, I'm going to follow you. He said, don't drive too fast now. I said, okay. And you know, when I got out on the highway and he come up behind me, he went around me. And he stayed in front all the way to Independence. And the first light we come to was going up grade. And I thought to myself, buddy, here's when he's in a slow traffic.
Yeah.
And he's coming up to this light.
Yeah.
And it was green. Well, quite a distance before we got there, you know. I thought, well, that thing's going to turn red. Then I said, well, I don't know how long it's going to do. I'm thinking this, you know. And it turned green again when he had the room the liberty to go. And he was slowing down, you know. And I said to myself, I said, Bob, put her in second. Boy, he hit it, you know. And he went right through. And we drove another 1.5 miles and turned right off of 24 highways, 24
What a
highways.
memory.
And we lived about 6 or 8 blocks down this oiled road. And we had a second driveway that come off of this road into our old garden space. And there was 2 pear trees out there at the garden, one next to the road and one down to the end of the garden. And I watched him, and he chose the new driveway. You know, that guy, he made it, but he must have been doing a good 20 or 25 miles an hour when he went into that garden. And he got in there, and he just went round and around about 3 times before he could shut it off. It was fun. He got out, boy, he was a sweater.
I bet he was.
He says, I done it, didn't I? I said, yeah, I
Done it.
Okay.
Uncle Kurt kind of reminded us that there were some Indians there on Mary Ellen's side. I was interested in finding that out because,
Yeah.
you know, because Dad's passed away and Mary Ellen's passed away, and I want to know if there was some Cherokee lineage there
Yeah.
to pass on to our ancestors.
Right, exactly.
And so Cynthia Dunn, which is our grandmother, Dad's mother, had 3 brothers, and Kurt has a photo of them and says that they...
Boy, they look like full-blooded Indians to me. I mean, they look like they'd run with old Pancho Villa. Or,
Do we remember their names or anything? Or?
no.
We don't.
Well, let's see.
What's it blocking?
I think one of them's named Rad,
Rad.
and Booth. No, them was Bibies.
Bibies, I
on the
remember.
Bibby side. No, I got sidetracked.
I remember that name.
The Bibby side. See, her grandmother was a Bibby.
Yeah, I ran into that name. Cynthia Dunn's mother was a Bybee. Did you know the
No.
Bybee?
No, it was
For her-
Mr.
Mr. Bybee.
Mr. McCubbin.
Okay,
His
Mr.
name
McCubbin's one
was-
was a Bybee.
His
So-
name was Albert McCubbin,
Yes, Albert.
and he married Jane Bybee.
Jane Bybee.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, was he a minister or a carpenter or
Oh,
a...
he was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Yeah, he built a lot. He was a craftsman.
And do you think his wife was Indian?
I think the Bibles have some Indian in them. Of course,
Because
I
I
can't
saw
trace
that photo of them in front of the house that they built there in front of the well. They're standing there in front of his well. He was a real tall, slender man. Remember that photo? There was a house.
You talking about
Elbert.
Albert? No, he wasn't a tall man.
But he was real slender,
Yeah, he was the thin, hard, wiry guy.
kind of like Tom.
Oh no, Tom's thick in the middle.
Oh.
Living the good life.
Well, anyway. So that was
these
the-
Indian brothers, whether quarter, half, or whatever they were, but in the photo, there's no doubt in your mind that they're rugged Indians. They got the countenance of a faraway look, and they're, you know, they're just hard and muscled people. And they were in overalls. I guess they'd been domesticated. But anyway,
Well, that's
I think I do have that picture.
Boy, I
If
would
I get it,
shoot
I'll mail it to you.
Xerox copy. I would love one, just for
I
my.
think we got it.
I'm still not quite clear who these people
But
are. These
that's
are
about as far as I
Cynthia's
can,
brothers?
Cynthia's
reach
brothers,
back
Cynthia
to
Dunn.
what I have
Dad's mom.
gathered, you know.
That would be Dad's uncles.
Uncles. His uncles.
On his mom's side.
Get the lowdown from Kurt on who's all alive back there and what they're doing.
Okay, we want to start with number one son, and
You mean
number two.
mine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are all our firstborn cousins doing?
Where are they all up to?
Wayburn is the oldest. He
Yeah.
retired from his practice.
Is he really? I didn't know that. Yeah.
And Dennis is next.
Yeah.
And he's still in his profession, I guess it is. He chose it himself. He's been painting pictures for 30-something years.
He's really good. I've seen his work.
And he's done pretty good.
Yeah. And he lives down in the Ozarks, right?
Yeah, and just this past year, he was commissioned by the U.S. Air Force to paint the B-2 bomber.
Wow.
And he finished that in December, I guess it was. They had a
Wow.
formal unveiling at Whiteman Air Force Base.
Wow.
And at the end of his energy and effort to get a picture that he was satisfied with after he threw away a dozen or so when he died. But anyway, prior to his finishing of his painting, he got acquainted with the pilots that bombed Iraq from Whiteman Air Force.
Oh, really?
They refueled once on the way over to Baghdad and bombed them, then they flew back, refueled on the way back. And he got acquainted with them, played golf with them, and one thing and another.
Wow.
And his purpose was to gain information about the environment and from the pilots, and their bird's eye view and their
Perspective.
shores and what they did, you know, what it looked like below or in the sky at night life, because it was way up 15 miles or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So that was good for him, and then he did paint the picture, and they had the unveiling.
Wow.
And the word is that it'll hang in the Pentagon, his painting.
Wow.
And there's word now, well, I don't know whether it's confirmed or not, but they're going to make a stamp, USA stamp of his painting.
Wow.
Whoa.
So that right there, if it becomes a reality, will be kind of
Nice retirement.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's him.
How many kids has he got right now?
Well, he had 2 boys and 2 girls. And
We never met his wife or his kids.
she's a beauty. But there's other beautiful girls. I got a few around here.
But
Yeah,
now, wait a
yeah.
minute, you're leaving out something. He also adopted, or he raised some other
Yeah,
children.
he
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he adopted 2 girls and 2 boys.
Oh, did he?
From different families.
I'll be darned.
But I don't guess they were adopted. They were high school age when he took them, but he became their guardian legally through the state.
Yeah, good for him.
And then they grew up, and they've all gotten married. Well, but I guess the girls haven't gotten married. I don't think they have. But the boys have gotten married. They call me granddad. Adopted kid, those kids. You know, big, nice people.
They live fairly close by you down there?
Well, they live. One of them's still in the service. One's a policeman in Ozark, Missouri, down below.
I mean, Dennis is fairly close by, or is he?
Oh, he's 4 miles from here.
Oh, 4 miles, okay.
Yeah, he still lives in his place there. He's got a pretty nice place.
Neat.
And there's Leighton, and of course he had domestic problems early in his raising his family. And I guess he's been married 3 times. He was married twice to his first wife. And then his second wife divorced him on account of his drinking. And then his family grew up. And they've got children now. There's well, I guess he's old, not his oldest boy, second oldest boy. Brandon has, was it 2, ain't it? 2 kids?
Yeah.
Wow.
He has-
So Lane's a grandpa.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then the other kids, the next one has been living with a girl for about 7 years. And I told him that he couldn't call me granddad anymore if he didn't get married. And I told his younger brother the same thing. And I convinced him that was the thing to do. And I married him last spring, wasn't it?
Is that right? Wow.
I married him, and then my Kevin's boy, my youngest boy, Kevin, that was deceased.
Right.
He just had the one boy. And
Uh-huh.
he was doing the same thing, and I got after him, and I told him he couldn't call me grandpa. He got married, so I married him.
Oh, wow.
And the older boy of Layton's has told me that he wants to get married in August, and he wants me to do the job. He's been living with this woman 7 years. And I said, if he'd been living with that long, I said, I don't want you to make any other choices. You better get it right the first time. I've been at it a long time. Anyway, I don't know how that's going to transpire, but I hope it comes around.
Yeah.
And his only daughter, Natalie, she's doing the same thing. And whether the influence and the circumstances, whether she'll fall in line or not, I don't know. And Dennis's boy, Daniel, his wife is a doctor, and he's a chiropractor, and they have 4 children.
Wow.
Gee, wow.
And Wayburn had 2 girls,
Yeah, I remember the 2 girls, the 2
and
pretty
of course
girls.
they're old ladies now.
Yeah.
They got their families, and Ellen's oldest is a boy. His name's
Are they in Missouri? Are they in Missouri? Or?
Yeah.
oh yeah, they live there in Kansas City area. What the hell is his name? He's 14. He's my
Yeah.
great grandkid.
Great grandkid.
Wow, great
Yeah.
grandkid.
And the other girl, she married the second man. He had a boy, and she had a girl by her first husband, and they've got one. So she's got 3.
Wow.
And Shannon,
Uh-huh.
he has a boy and a girl, and they're both grown. The boy's the youngest, he's going to the KU. And the girl, she's just working for herself and living with her mother right now. Her mother is very, well, set in her ways. And anyway, she's real intelligent, real smart. And she surprised me. She got to be the anchor, spokesman, newscaster on KMBC for the last couple of years.
Wow.
When Bush was campaigning and won, well, she was the newscaster, spokesman, when all the votes came in and the whole thing through the night and whatever, you know. And they, her name is, I think of them, man.
Is that a Kansas City TV station?
Yeah. What did he call it? What's her name?
Shannon's daughter. Shannon's daughter or Shannon's wife?
Wife, ex-wife.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, ex-wife.
Wow.
Her name is Nanette. She's an Italian one, girl.
Oh,
And I can almost say it. But she's going to Oklahoma City or Tulsa or somewhere out there to further her career as a
Anchor.
that kind of thing.
Oh, I see.
So she does have talent, and she's a pretty girl and a neat girl, but boy, she's got venom of 14 rattlesnakes.
Tough to live with, yeah.
Kurt's
Yeah.
oldest boy, you left that out, that Wayburn has, well, I have it. It's called, my doctor calls it nephritis. I don't know what their doctor calls it.
Inflammation of the kidneys?
No, it's where all your nerves are dying.
Neuropathy.
Neuropathy?
What did I say? I said
Nephritis.
neuropathy.
Well,
is right.
neuropathy, yeah, the
I said
death of the
nephritis.
nerves,
It's
yeah.
neuropathy,
Oh.
That's Wayburn, huh?
Wayburn and Dennis both have it.
He had to
right.
retire because he couldn't hold the He couldn't hold the needle.
Who's
Dennis has it in his feet. And I don't know about his hand.
Starts.
Do you think it's a family thing?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
It usually stems from diabetes.
Oh.
Yeah, it does. I know Mom had it. Dad got it with the Parkinson's. Dad had loss of feeling.
Yeah. Let's stay focused
Do
on,
you get it?
on these
Do you
people,
don't?
Jen.
Do you have feeling? Huh?
I'm gonna run out of tape if we don't go through.
Oh,
and
okay. Oh,
talk
I'm
about-
sorry. Stay with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about. I want to get just the family history on the tape.
Great.
Okay.
That's all right. It's okay.
We'll talk.
Wait.
She
Well,
just
that
Wait,
is
I'm just gonna run out of tape. Is all I'm concerned about.
pieces of the puzzle. Where was I? My kids?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, and then let's see. I don't know all their names, but my grandkids.
And then maybe Milo's boys too.
Dennis's oldest girl,
Yeah.
Tirsa, had a boy, and he mysteriously died. That was Brady, and then the second child was a girl, and
Megan.
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 Then he had a boy, and then she had a girl.
Isaiah.
Isaiah is the name of the second son, and Megan, and what's the other's name?
Is the baby April?
No, that's
No,
Baby April.
I don't know. Don't remember.
How about Milo's boys and Bob's boys? What are they all
let's
doing?
see, Milo.
And how's Milo and Marina? They're still.
Well, they've got old age.
Yeah.
symptoms.
Lorene's going. Yeah, she's got dementia. I called to check on you on your way out here because I was trying to find you, and she says. Well, I can't remember what she said, but it gave me the illusion that
she
she'd
wasn't
forgotten
with-
something. She didn't
Yeah,
recognize
she do
me.
that because
Steals
the
the
last
same
time
thing
I've been with
over
her, been around her, even before Grand Mary Ellen passed away, she would rehearse the same things or ask the same questions over and again in the course of travel of a couple of hours or something. Stay quiet and then talk.
Yeah.
She goes a great deal back to when she was her courting days with Milo. Her mind seems to run in
A
that
favorite era.
Well,
Milo,
those are sweet memories.
Yeah.
If you're going
Milo,
to rewind, it's a good one.
Yeah.
It is.
yeah, Milo, he's, you see, he's must be 84 or 85. And he has an obsession, which is
He's
takes care of
still.
a lot of time, but he's just by himself,
Yeah.
nothing to do.
Right.
He's got 2 or 3 banjos, he's got a violin, he got a couple of
Fiddles.
fiddles, and guitars. He'll just go from one to the other. And during the course of the day, he will have played all of them by himself, And then he's got a few pet squirrels on the back porch. He don't drive anymore because he has that nervous condition from the war,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Right.
Kind of sad, but
Yeah.
he's still got all his faculties when he talks to you.
Good. Good.
And I have a lot of rapport with the band. I don't see him too often, but anytime I've ever been to their house, and when I was making up my mind about this girl here, I stayed at their house every once in a while. And he's always invited me back, and she's been there with me now since we become a team, And he's still pretty friendly.
Good.
But I didn't tell them that we're making this trip. That's the reason why. Did you talk to Uncle Miles?
I did. I wanted to know if they had your cell phone number, and they didn't.
No. And during the course of our trip, we started out with a company called Singular, and they shut us off for various reasons twice on our trip.
Wow.
So I got provoked, and I'm with Verizon right
That's
now.
better. Yeah.
Verizon's better. Yeah.
Well, I was concerned. I didn't want to lose you. As I thought, if you're all the way out here, I was trying to
See where the focus was going to be.
trying to find you, and
Yeah.
nobody answered at your place. And I thought, well, I'll call Lorene, and Lorene. I thought, oh my, what's happened to Lorene? And then lo and behold, it was Milo's birthday. He thought I'd called to wish him a happy birthday. So it was a lucky phone call. But he says, no, he says, I haven't heard from him. They took off in January or something, and they're out
Yeah.
poking around, I guess, or something.
Well, what's up with their boys? With Ronnie, Joe, and Jimmy?
Ronnie.
Don't tell me he's retired.
Been married the second time. He's been with his second wife 15 or 20 years. And he's got grandkids. I don't know their names nor where they live.
Uh-huh.
And Bob's boy, Sean,
Uh-huh.
he works for some kind of a computer company,
Uh-huh.
programming for business and all that kind of stuff, a liaison man or
Uh-huh.
courier or
Now,
whatever the words is.
he's been out here visiting us about 5-8 years ago, something like that.
Sean?
He's a big
I think so, yeah. Yeah. Real sharp guy, yeah.
gentle type.
I never got
Yeah,
to see
he's
him.
laid back and
Wasn't
he's...
Sean?
I never got to see him.
Was oh,
Maybe you did. I didn't get to.
he was doing in San Francisco for a conference and came by on a Tuesday afternoon or something.
Yeah,
I
he
took off
travels
work
quite a
and
bit.
came over and visited
He's
him.
kind of on demand
Yeah, uh-huh.
for whatever, I don't know, you know, in the computer world,
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
lost. I
you
don't
want,
know. Or the big heavy thinkers are that keep their business running, or
yeah,
who programs what, or
Right.
gives advice. You know, there's so many companies with different demands.
yeah.
What
Then they
about Bob's boys, the other one?
Oh, Glenn,
Glenn,
he's some kind of a permanent party for the Weston hotel chain,
oh, uh-huh,
and he gets passes and goes to Hawaii and runs around. You know,
Oh.
he's still single,
uh-huh,
and he's kind of an oddball.
Uh-huh.
He's done it to himself,
uh-huh.
but
How
I
about,
don't see them too often.
how about, Cindy is Milo's daughter.
Right, Cindy?
Robin is Bob's daughter.
Robin is Bob's daughter. We never met Robin. She's a
It's
younger.
Robin, Cindy, and me are the only girl cousins.
Uh-huh.
They each had one. Yeah.
Okay. How about Robin? What do you know about
Well,
Robin?
she,
Kurt?
She's married.
yeah, she's married, and I'm thinking that she got a divorce, or the guy left her. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And she was a illegitimate girl,
Uh-huh.
and then she had a girl that followed her mother's footsteps,
Uh-huh.
and her daughter now, I mean the third generation of Bob's grandkid there. That's what her girl is. There's Bob and Sean and Glenn and Robin had a daughter, and she had a daughter, and those two were out of wedlock.
Uh-huh.
And that didn't do Bob any good.
Uh-huh.
He knows better than that.
Yeah.
Break his
But the
heart.
world puts a bite on a lot of people.
Yeah.
Their choices in life is
Boy.
hard to understand.
Yep. Yep.
The real world is out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll jump over quick to Cindy now before we lose her.
Oh,
What's Cindy
Cindy.
up to?
She has 3 sons.
3 sons. Wow.
Cindy.
No,
She
she,
became a
still-
nurse.
She's
became
a nurse. Yeah.
She-
she doesn't live in Missouri, right? She moved up north?
No, she's still in Kansas City.
Oh, I thought she moved to Wisconsin or something.
No. She's still in Missouri.
Oh, okay.
And she's in the workforce yet, as far as I know.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And she's a lovely girl. She's got her first husband and got some. Her young kids are big enough to be courting and whatnot. I don't think any of them married.
Uh-huh.
One of her boys met one of the neighbors down in the valley close to where Dennis lives,
Uh-huh.
and has made a permanent relationship with her. I mean, not living with her or nothing, but I mean, he courts the girl.
Uh-huh.
She's
Uh-huh.
just a neighbor farmer there,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know what their names are.
Now, Ronnie Joe's got a daughter named Shelley, I think.
No, he's got
That's-
a daughter named Heather.
Heather. Okay.
And,
I'm thinking
the
of
older
Shelley.
one, for his first marriage, I think she's married somewhere, and I forget
Uh-huh.
her name. But then he's got.
There's one about Rebecca's age. And we're trying to get some information on. I thought it was Shelley, but I guess I don't want to know. It's not
Oh,
that good either.
so that Rebecca would know her cousin.
Yeah, exactly. Hear what she's about. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, early in Milo's family, when my boys was real small, his family was small, we did see each other. They lived in Sedalia, and we came down and seen them through the summer. And
Yeah.
went down in the Ozarks, picked blackberries together,
Yeah.
canned things, you know.
Oh, that sounds
Went
like
fishing
fun.
together and all
Yeah.
that. But, you know, that's all faded in history.
Oh, yeah. Well, Janice and I were there in 56, 58, and 63. Three different times in the summer for about 3 weeks each time.
Do you remember? You remember in?
Well, you know, the thing is,
I
they
guess
let her
it,
sleep
did you say
inside.
57?
56 and 58.
Yeah, 56. We were down to the. And your mother rode the bicycle.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
unicycle.
Yeah.
Unicycle, yeah.
And we went down to the it was
River.
in the summertime, and your dad caught one fish.
Yes,
And
down in
he's
the
holding it up. I've got those movies.
we got some too. We got one
Dennis
of
is supposed to put them on
CD.
CDs or whatever it is.
Uh-huh.
But he hadn't done it yet.
we got one of you. I think you were swimming in the river and stepped on a big piece of glass and cut your foot open, and we had to take you out to the hospital that day.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
was in Flat Creek.
Flat Creek. Now where's that? Is that?
Sedalia.
That's down Sedalia. Yeah, okay, that sounds
Mary
about
Ellen
right.
brought a watermelon down there, and we all had watermelon down at the river.
Yeah, we all went
Right, and I
swimming.
stepped on that glass bottle.
Yeah, that's it.
Pushed a big hole in the bottom of my foot.
Yep,
Too interested, too
I
bites.
remember that.
yep.
She likes to come sit in that bush in the front.
Well, you know, time goes on,
Yep.
and you have to take things as they are, not as they ought to be.
I know
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Adapt. That's what we're made to do, is
That's
to keep
what it's
adapting
all
to
about.
Make an
change.
adjustment.
Make adjustments.
And,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah, she's
just
got-
like
she
this
wants-
day, and every fleeting moment goes down in history.
May I clear your plate?
she
Sure,
always walks the
thank you.
fence. She walks the
Yep.
fence and comes down here.
Well, we always wanted to go back there and see you guys, and we never really got.
You don't have to do
I
that.
don't know, just too busy out here and working hard, and I hardly ever have any vacation time or anything. It's really hard
Where
for.
are you working now?
I'm working about 10 miles out in that direction for a computer company. They make computer chips.
Well, you make computer chips?
Uh-huh. Well, I'm a writer, technical writer, so I write help systems that tell the engineers how to use the chips when they're trying to, make them do something. So,
You know, that's an interesting thing, those chips. I've been told, I guess that I've been told, or maybe I read it, that the physical makeup of that chip, you have whatever substance it is,
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, I know that. And the bias voltage and the signals and the strength of the wavelength, everything like that, makes the minuses and plus change holes in the, or whatever it is in the chip.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you can't see it, but they actually do that.
Yeah.
The electrodes, the electricity or whatever that's
Neutrons and protons?
the potential is,
Yeah.
biased or otherwise.
Right.
When signals are affected or brought out,
Yeah.
why the pluses and minuses and the holes, I mean, the real physical thing change places in the chip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but it's all
Just done
0
very
volts or 5
small.
volts.
Huh?
0 volts or 5 volts. It's one or the other.
And I don't know nothing about it.
And you can put about like millions and millions of those little switches in about something the size of your fingernail.
It's pretty amazing. My hand's getting tired. I'm going to cut this thing off. And so we got a record
Well, I
here.
hope
What's
what I've
going
said,
on?
it just don't muddy the water.
Well, if it does, then we'll have to come back to Missouri and get the rest of the story, I guess.
It'd be like, oh, what's his name? Paul Harvey?